Imagine a country sitting on the largest oil reserves in the world, even bigger than Saudi Arabia, a nation often considered untouchable in the oil economy. Its cities, streets, and markets are all connected to oil wealth. The people there, the economy, the very essence of national power, depends on oil. Now imagine that its sitting president is removed from his office by a foreign military power right in the capital city. No vote, no UN approval, no warning. Just force. How does that happen in 2026? How does the world allow this? Today, we are going to dive deep into Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, the US, and the geopolitical currents that led to this unprecedented event. By the end of this video, you will understand why oil, money, and global alliances matter more than law in today's world. On January 3, 2026, the U.S. launched Operation Absolute Resolve, an operation that stunned the world. Military helicopters hovered over Caracas, and explosions shook the southern districts as elite forces stormed key government buildings. Within hours, President Nicolás Maduro was captured and flown to New York, leaving the nation in shock and chaos.
Says the American military has captured President Nicolás Maduro and his wife.
Maduro said that he was kidnapped.
Local reports indicate more than 80 deaths, including security personnel and civilians. The operation involved multiple military units, including intelligence, tactical forces, and cyber units coordinating the attack. What makes this operation unprecedented is not the force itself, but that it occurred without international sanction or UN approval. This is the first time in decades that a sitting head of state has been removed in such a direct manner. Imagine the confusion on the streets, families separated, government offices empty, and citizens unsure who was truly in charge. Later, we will examine why the U.S. risked global backlash and why oil, alliances, and economic power played a crucial role in this decision. Controversy. Officially, the U.S. government cited drug trafficking, narco-terrorism, and corruption charges against Maduro. Courts in New York had issued indictments years before. But here's the controversy. No international body, no UN resolution, no global treaty authorized this military intervention. Legal scholars have warned this could set a dangerous precedent, undermining sovereignty. Some argue the U.S. acted within its domestic law. Others say that international law is absolute, and bypassing it could destabilize the global order.
Action that President Trump took.
Politicians and analysts worldwide have divided opinions. Later, we'll explore why international law clashed with economic interests, and why Venezuela's resources made this inevitable. Venezuelan political context. To understand the kidnapping, we must first understand Venezuela's political landscape. Maduro's government was deeply polarizing. Critics accused him of electoral fraud, suppressing opposition, and corruption. Supporters argued that the U.S. had long tried to undermine the country to control oil. After the capture, Delcy Rodriguez became acting president, but this transition was not universally recognized, leaving a political vacuum. Protests erupted, streets were tense, and citizens were unsure who truly held power. Imagine living in a country where the rules of leadership are suddenly broken by external powers. Every citizen becomes a witness to a historical shift, where law is secondary to force. Why did the U.S. act so decisively? Because oil defines power. Venezuela has over 300 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, the largest on Earth. For decades, oil made Venezuela wealthy. Cities flourished, imports increased, and governments relied heavily on oil revenue. but the country became dependent on oil alone, leaving its economy fragile. When Hugo Chavez challenged the petrodollar system and started trading oil in currencies other than the US dollar, tensions escalated. Venezuela forged alliances with China and Russia, creating a new geopolitical alignment. China and New World Order. Venezuela's relationship with China played a key role in the unfolding crisis. Beijing provided loans, infrastructure projects, and oil agreements that made Venezuela less dependent on the US dollar. When the US launched Operation Absolute Resolve, China officially protested in international forums, warning that unilateral action could destabilize global norms. However, Beijing's ability to act militarily or economically was limited, highlighting the constraints even powerful nations face in geopolitical conflicts. Russia also condemned the operation. This event demonstrates a shift in the global power balance. The US asserts its interests directly, signaling that economic and military power can override international law when stakes are high. For analysts, this is a clear sign. The rules of global order are now negotiable, and countries must carefully navigate alliances and dependencies. If this precedent continues, any country challenging US economic or military dominance could face similar risks, and the world order itself could be reshaped.